All right, and JKL is powered by Telkom. Telkom, moving with you. Now, by the time this JK Live airs, Kenya Airways and Kenya will have made some history. That's because out of this country, the first ever non-stop flight from Nairobi to New York, from JKIA to JFK, non-stop, 15 hours has happened. I tell you folks, when they talk about a game changer, this is the one. And here to talk about the bigger picture and what it means, 2 CSs in one go. That's also huge. CS Transportation, James Macharia, CS Tourism, Najib Balala. Gentlemen, good to see you. Welcome to JKL.
Our pleasure.
Thanks so much for your time. CS Balala, what does this mean? I mean, people are talking about non-stop flight to New York, right? And I mean, obviously, no more transit time for passengers, whether they're going through the Middle East to Europe. Talk about how that will be a game changer.
Well, this is a big deal. Why? Because, first of all, it's the first airline goes directly from the sub-Saharan Africa. Even Ethiopian Airline goes via Dublin. Mm-hmm. So it's the first one ever that goes directly. It's 14 hours, 15 hours. So you could see for yourself, it's a direct flight.
Yeah.
So it is a game changer for travelers, makes it easy, faster. So you don't have to spend time in airports through, again, security challenges and checks, as well as wasting time in the airport and sitting idling. Yeah. And these are the things that the passengers will enjoy. And let me tell you, Kenya is a good airline, despite all the issues we will have, but it is respected internationally.
Absolutely.
And the aircraft they are using, the Dreamliner 787, it's a beautiful equipment.
Yeah.
So we are proud of it, and definitely this is historic.
CS Macharia, I mean, this was a long time coming. I mean, this just didn't happen overnight, and it was very challenging along the way, wasn't it?
Quite, Jeff, and it's good to sit here and tell Kenyans that indeed a lot of effort and commitment and sacrifice has gone into this particular venture to make sure it happens. It started all the way back in 2008. And not until last year in February when we had the first indication that it will happen, because that's when Kenya became Category 1 status. I think it's good to clarify to Kenyans that it's not Jomo Kenyatta Airport per se, which has been given Category 1 status. It's a country, because you can have a good airport, but the environment, the aviation environment can be very, very unconducive. And so we worked very hard. We had more than 400 issues to deal with for 10 years, but we are very excited that now it's happening. Yeah. And like my colleague said, it's historic, because only 5 countries in Africa actually have this kind of privilege. Yeah. Yes.
And you know, to put things in perspective, I mean, people out there probably don't realize how important this is, CS Balala, but tourism, you've always talked about raising the numbers of tourists, and tourists have a hard time flying to Africa because they have to go through Europe transit, go through the Middle East transit. Now, your first and only stop will be your destination.
Yeah, you'll have dinner in Nairobi and breakfast in New York. And that's exactly what people... The problem of Africa is it doesn't have the numbers. From the 1.3 billion people traveling, only 62 million come to Africa. Why? Is air connectivity. The source market, the United States, Europe, Asia, is not well connected to Africa. And that's why we're very proud with Kenya Airways, being able to get not only people into Africa, but also out of Africa. So the spread, the footprint of Kenya Airways on over 50 destinations, that also creates Nairobi into a hub. So we are very interested because first, the US market has become the #1 source market with 115,000 arrivals last year, higher than the UK market with 110,000. So you could see we can gain when there is a direct flight. The UK, you could see, is only 7-8 hours here, and we are 110. What happened if it's a longer destination, a source market, where you have now 14-15 hours and it's a direct flight? And there, the beauty about the American market, high spending. So that is the benefit. And it's not only going to be tourism, it will be business, it will be investment, it will be cargo as well being taken on this. We have not even ventured on those fields yet. But that's why when we go to New York next week, We will have our team from Ministry of Trade and EPC and Brand Kenya and Tourism Board to not only showcase the country for tourism, but showcase the country entirely on what can the country offer. And you could see what James has said. It's not about Jomo Kenyatta or KQ. It's about the airspace of Kenya. It's about the country and its stability and the good leadership that we have from President Uhuru Kenyatta.
Yeah. CS Macharia, people are asking, this is going to be a daily flight, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Is that conducive? Is that going to be able to happen?
Oh, yeah, certainly, because, Jeff, you look at what has happened since KQ announced. The first ticket was sold in January this year. And true, that time there were a lot of doubting Thomases, saying, will Kenya Airways be able to fill up this plane? Within a few days, the tickets were sold out.
A few days?
A few days
like
only.
A music concert.
And this is a Dreamliner carrying 234 passengers.
Wow.
And so going forward, I think they will even have to introduce possibly more flights. Because look at the kind of traffic, Jeff, between Nairobi and New York, Nairobi, Atlanta, Nairobi, Washington. These passengers have been going through, London, Paris, Amsterdam, and these are the passengers who get marooned in these airports. Now the students going to the US, they'll be seen off by their relatives at Nairobi Airport and received one stop in New York. The parents going to see their relatives in New York, they'll be seen off and then they'll be received the other side. You can see the convenience. And so from the statistics which you have, I believe that within a few months, KQ will be requesting more frequency to go to New York.
Wow.
Yes.
And the other thing, CS Balala, is the regional traffic. People in Rwanda and Burundi, Tanzania, Uganda, everywhere will be transiting through Nairobi to take that non-stop flight.
In fact, Jeff, we are organizing a meeting with the African ambassadors in New York with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So we can talk to them because it is their countries that's going to benefit. Nairobi is going to be a hub. All our neighbors are going to use Nairobi, and being direct flight, they'll prefer to come via Nairobi. So we are talking to the ambassadors, we are talking to the countries that are represented in New York that listen, here you have an airline that takes you home from home. Yeah? So that is the impression we are giving. But also, I think the marketing campaign that we are doing through the Kenya Tourism Board, we are going to have around the Times Square and 43rd Avenue, we are going to have screens promoting Kenya in 3 days. So we are going to have screens promoting Kenya. We are going to have an expo for the marathon on the 4th of November, the New York Marathon. KTB is going to be there, and the Ministry of Trade and Industry to showcase Kenya. But that expo is going to be a point where we are now introducing to the New Yorkers. But it's not only about New York. New York will be a point from Kenya to New York. But then America is a whole continent. Then you spread to the western side, to the mid-country, to the southern part, to the northern part, including Canada. Our offices of Kenya Tourism Board, we are telling them, use New York to come to Kenya. So we use Kenya Airways to come to, from Canada to New York, and then, well, it's only 1 hour, 1.5 hours from Canada to New York. And then you can connect to Nairobi. So that will save a lot of time and hassles at the airport.
Yeah. And let me add one more thing even before you ask a question, Jeff. I think two things will actually matter a lot in terms of value addition. The first one is like what my fellow CS is saying in terms of transit passengers. Getting passengers from Dar es Salaam, Entebbe, Kigali coming through here. Even beyond, until now, we had people saying we can't pass through Nairobi because we don't have direct flights from America. So this is additional sort of business people, tourists, who will now choose Nairobi as opposed to even say Johannesburg. So the competition which we have now will actually be completely diluted in terms of our regional outreach. Then in terms of value addition of commodities, take for example tea, coffee, we have especially these horticultural products. They've been going through Europe and then losing value because of the time factor. Flowers, for example. if you don't deliver in good time, they actually lose value. Now they'll be going within 14 hours, they have arrived in New York. So the farmers in Naivasha, all these other places, they will actually benefit a lot. And those farmers, you know, they're employing thousands of Kenyans.
And that's what people want.
Yes.
People haven't even considered that aspect of the game changer.
The cascading of the values
Yes.
and the benefits. You know, you may not use the Dreamliner yourself, but the benefit you come to you through these other chains, which will come from the value addition from our commodities going to the U.S. directly.
You know, we've always, when I talked about Kenya on the runway waiting to take off, this time,
It's real.
it's real.
It's real.
Right?
As we are talking now, we have profiled more tourism passengers. We have not talked about value of products and produces that come from Kenya. And the beauty about this flight is that Nairobi is going to be a destination. From African countries want to connect to New York because of the visa availability on arrival for Africans. Then they have the choice to come to Nairobi and do the shopping and do other activities before they go to the States, or when they come from the States before they go back to their countries. So we are creating Nairobi as a destination. That's why we have invited Richard Quest is here this week, and he's all over Nairobi. And we are profiling and promoting Nairobi as a destination now. So we want all the new hotels that are there, they're up to international standard. The restaurants are very vibrant and active. The nightlife and the parties and the activities. So all these come together, the art scene, the musical scenes.
Precisely.
Including the national park, we are looking how do we market it differently and package it differently. So we want everybody in Nairobi to play a role, because there is going to be a new market for you. Let's be prepared for this and take advantage and be a service center for the region.
Yeah, it's a good point that CS Balala makes. Are we ready for this influx?
We are so committed and serious, Jeff. I would say two things we are doing right now, which you confirm our commitment. Number one, we have this plan to make Jomo Kenyatta Airport an airport city. You've seen right now we've got hotels coming up, you know, the Sheraton and
Crown Plaza.
Crown Plaza, they're all coming up. And we shall expand that concept further to make sure that if you're coming on transit, for example, and you've got 6 hours in Nairobi, you don't have to stay, you know, in the lounge. You can go to the hotel overnight and then proceed with your journey. So we shall expand that concept, just like you have Dubai, earning so much for the country. Number two, you cannot be serious without having to put proper infrastructure for the city of Nairobi. Because if you're coming on transit, and like my fellow CS is saying, you want to go to the city for 3 days and enjoy a bit of life, you don't want to be stuck for 2 hours in the traffic jam. And let me tell Kenyans, we are now committing seriously. We have engineers on the ground right now, trying to design now this big bridge from Jomo Kenyatta Airport all the way to Westlands, the long-awaited express highway. There are engineers on the ground right now.
So that's finally going to happen?
It's happening now. I'm telling the engineers on the ground, finalizing the designs. And then we plan to have commencement by early next year. That, together with the commuter train, which will be coming from Jomo Kenyatta Airport, connecting the SGR, small distance. And then from SGR, visitors can go to Mombasa by train through Savo, watching the animals. Wow. Those who want to go to the city of Nairobi, they use the train, the commuter train from Syokimau now to the CBD. Without doing that infrastructure, we cannot talk about Nairobi being a hub. And that's exactly what we are trying to do. On the ground right now, it's not something which we are planning to do. We have actually started the process.
And it's going to happen. I mean, this is, you know, because the skeptics are out there. They keep, you know, we keep hearing this, and we haven't seen any work. It's going to happen?
Well, unfortunately, the government is not good in propagating their own success. But as CS told you, we are on the ground in infrastructure. I chair the Nairobi regeneration in terms of beautifying Nairobi. If you see all these beautification systems that's coming in, including, okay, the demolition is another issue, but all the efforts, have water in Nairobi, have law and order in Nairobi, have order with border and all these order with traffic and the free free day in Nairobi CBD. All that is to make sure that in 2-3 years' time, when infrastructure supports Nairobi, we are ready for not only the influx of KQ, but we are ready as a destination. So there is a plan up to 2022, 2021. We know that everything is ready. At least the engineers are on the ground. The commuter train is already been talked too much. Now is action for it to be happen. Water by 2020, 2021, we already have almost 30% more water for Nairobi. So these are the things that they have been planned last year. So now they are about to happen. And that's why the issue of KQ and making Nairobi an international or airline hub is critical, because we want the numbers to come in. As I told you, even when I stand in front of my colleagues in Africa or even in the world, I say Kenya received only 1.3, 1.4 million arrivals. They laugh at us. When you have Egypt, 13 million. When you have Turkey, 34 million Turkey. Morocco is 11 million. South Africa is 10 million. So everybody's surprised with the uniqueness Kenya has of safari and the beach. Why don't we have the number? It's connectivity.
Precisely.
Connectivity is what drives tourism and drives the economy. Look at what happened in Morocco. What built Morocco from 4 million people to 11 million is connectivity of low-cost airline into Casablanca and into Marrakesh. What happened to Sharm el-Sheikh? Low-cost airline. But because low-cost airline can only do short distances, long-haul destination like us, you need to support Kenya Airways, all the other international airlines to support a long-haul destinations. Until when EasyJet and Ryanair and the others to have long-haul equipment to reach our destination. It's not easy. It's easy to say why our numbers are low, but it's about connectivity. And that is key what Minister Macharia is doing.
And once that happens, there'll be a flood.
I think we have the capacity. We have the capacity to handle 5 million with no problem. But do we have the connectivity? And those are the strategies we are putting in place.
And you see, this connectivity, Jeff, we are looking at it from an integrated concept. Because, like I said, you cannot just develop the city of Nairobi in isolation. That's why if you go to Mombasa today, and Bara knows more about Mombasa than I do, you will find the infrastructure is changed completely. You like that more international, and you can go to your hotel with a new highway, you know, through the city.
And that used to be a filthy road.
And now we are building another one, as you know, from the island all the way to Kwanjomvu, all the way to Mariakani. We are doing this, the one going to Dogokundu as well. Because you see, people will be coming to Nairobi, and then they will like to go to Mombasa. Some will fly, some will use the SGR. So it's that kind of concept which I think we need really to tell Kenyans that Kenya is actually on the move. And these investments will be for posterity. Because these are productive assets. They will put Kenya on the map. And going forward, I think you'll find the issue about how much do you spend is not be an issue anymore.
In fact, Jeff, when you go to the UK, what moves all those masses in the UK or in Europe, is infrastructure. It's trains and then airports. Us here, we don't have that infrastructure of rail, but we have infrastructure of air and the road. The roads were designed very narrow. Now, if you look at the highway from Moi Airport to the island, beautiful, lit, it's a modern highway. Look at the road now being done on Kibarani and the bridge coming in, going to Mariakani. 8 lanes. The dueling from Malindi to Lungalunga will take you 1 hour to Malindi instead of 3 hours. So all this, what will drive the numbers? Without it, we cannot do.
Go ahead, CS.
I was going to say, on top of everything, air safety will be #1 priority. Because you see, we can have these investments, but we do not actually sustain it if we have a problem with air safety. And that's one area we've been focusing a lot. We just finished an audit done by ICAO, the International Civil Aviation Authority, and we scored 78.15%.
Is that impressive compared to others?
Among the highest in the world.
Wow.
And this confirms that indeed the commitment is there. This audit is called Universal Safety Oversight Audit, which basically is saying, look at everything within the country, in terms of safety, and we came out among the very top for 78.15%.
Wow.
This is only results last week.
Yes.
Is that right?
Which Kenya is
Yeah.
really given high scores because of the efficiency of Kenya civil aviation, the commitment from government, and the investment we are doing.
Compare us to another country around 78 or 79. What are we talking?
The others are talking average about 60%, those who are doing well.
Wow.
You know, but like Africa, we are among the very top, even not the top 3. And then we also have to mention this. We are doing this because we want to run aviation in a very professional manner. Previously, because of political governments, we used to have a lot of regulation being done by the government itself through ministers. But we took a bold step and moved most of the mandate of the cabinet secretary, the cabinet minister, from our office to a professional director general of Kenya Civil Aviation. So last year we amended the law, the Civil Aviation Amendment Act, to make sure that was embedded within the law.
Wow.
So you don't have a politician coming to interfere
Correct.
with the running of the aviation. The way you used to fight KQ flight is being delayed because a politician is stuck in the traffic jam.
In traffic, yeah.
No more, no more.
If he's stuck,
Whoever you are, you'll be left by the plane.
Even you guys.
Oh, yes.
we have missed our place many times, I can tell you that.
Gentlemen, I want to take a break, come back and talk about, the other thing you always talk about, CS Balala, is conferencing. Nairobi as a conferencing destination. Can it work with this new addition? And also, there's a lot of skeptics before we got the okay, you know, checking the boxes. There's a lot of skeptics. Did we not almost get, I mean, was there a point where the Americans or whoever was in charge was saying, you know what, this place is too risky for us, let's not do it. Maybe we can talk a bit about that when we come back. Jeff Koinange live. I tell you folks, 2 CSs on one bench, talking about something that everybody should be talking about, a game changer in this country's history. Kenya Airways flying non-stop to New York and points beyond is a huge deal, and the repercussions will be felt for decades to come. We're going to take a break, come back, plenty more ahead. Keep tweeting at Koinange Jeff, at Citizen TV Kenya, the hashtag JK Live. JK Live takes a break. We'll be back in a moment.